Hey GBA fans, it's your friend Choice CJ here, and welcome back to the Pick'em crew. This is week number 3, and I'm once again joined by my co-host, Greg. Say what's up.
Yo, what's going on GBA type people? It's Gregulator60, and I hope you're having a fantastic day, simply fantastic. And oh gosh, that's all I have to say. Such a great amount of GBA battles in week 2, and looking forward to the week 3 games.
Indeed, and Greg, you have quite a bit to be proud for.
Ooh, why do you tell me, CJ? Tell me what do I have to be proud of?
Well, if we go into our recap of week 2 of GBA action, you ran the table, Greg.
I ran the table
this week.
I ran the table. I sat on the table. The fans are the ones polishing the table, by the way, because I beat them this week. You know,
what a bunch of scrubs. They went 7-1.
I know, and it all came down to the lock of the week too. I locked the Melbourne, excuse me, to all the Aussies out there. The Melbourne Rotoms, like I mentioned, water resist, non-existent. Yeah, there are some hacks in that game, but we don't talk about that. We just talk about how skillful my picks are for this week, and looking forward to having another dominant run this week as well.
Indeed, yeah. So you and the fans are tied for the overall best record. I'm actually in second, and then folks like Zilix, Aaron, and a whole bunch of others are doing relatively well. But yeah, enough about week 2. Let's move on to the next round of games with week number 3. Before we break down the games, I'm going to pitch it over to my good buddy Sock to tell us about the fan Discord picks this week.
Yo, what's going on, guys? GBA type people. I'm Sock, and I'm here bringing you guys the Discord pick'ems. So this week, the fans have decided to lock the San Diego Chim Chargers winning over the Columbus Chew. They picked the San Francisco Giants to crush the Detroit Stillwings, the Melbourne Rotoms to lose to the Borussia Donphan, and in a close one, the Bronx Beartics just edging out the Kansas City Giraffe Chiefs, the Philadelphia Scissors beating the Gators, the Milwaukee Beewares beating the Habsols, the New Orleans Pelipers beating the Sharpedos, and the Tampa Bay Luxrays beating the Victorian Shadows. So that's this week's Discord Pick'ems.
Thank you, Sock. Sock is going to be announcing these picks every week from here on out. And now Greg and I will discuss these matches, and our first matchup is going to be between the San Francisco Giants, coached by Gym Leader Gio, and the Detroit Steelwings, coached by Crimson Seabad. Greg, what are your thoughts on this game?
I actually have a lot to say about this game. I do want to say that I know Gio's having a little bit of a rough streak, and I know Crimson came off a really nice win last week, but I'm going to have to give the edge to Gio in this matchup. I really do believe that one Pokemon that's going to give Crimson a really hard time is the Toxapex. I think Toxapex plus Shaman is going to be such an incredibly difficult thing for Crimson to break. Now, a few things to note on Gio's side of the field. Crimson's biggest threat to Gio's team is the Infernape, which Toxapex walls. Earthquake barely can 2-hit KO, I think, maybe sometimes. It's a big stop to Jirachi, or unless like Combine variants and stuff like that, but Shaman can normally take care of stuff like that. And I think Mew can have a really nice impact in the game. We've seen Gio use Blacephalon really well, or trying to, I think in his match against Chimp earlier on in the season. I think he's getting a little bit more comfortable with it. And due to like the offensive nature of Chase's team, I could see some of Gio's other offensive threats like Haxorus having an impact in the game. What do you think, CJ?
So I went in favor of Chase for this game instead of Gio. I think it's extremely even because, as you mentioned, Toxapex is really tough, and I think that Gio could run some cheeky sets like eject button Toxapex switching in on a B-drill that's going for U-turn that allow him to trap with his Doug Trio if it's running like a Choice Scarf set or something like that. Nape, as you pointed out, is good, but it sort of needs to run Shed Shell or Shookaberry in order to dodge that Doug Trio.
Right.
But the reason that I went with Chase instead is because I think something like a sub-nasty Plot Thundy could really run circles around Gio's team. Because he does have a lot of really fat walls, like you said, but a good wall-breaking set like that would be nice. And Sub obviously allows him to dodge the Transform from Ditto. It's gonna be even, I think, but that's where I'm leaning.
Yeah, I think one thing to note is that Chase's team is a lot more offensive than Gio's by nature. So if he gives Gio any room for setup opportunity, I think that's why Gio will take it over. I think Gio has a little bit more room for error based on his bulk than Chase does, and that's why I'll give him the edge.
Yeah, that's fair. That's perfectly fair. So, looking forward to that one. Also looking forward to this next game that's on our schedule here. That is the San Diego Chim Chargers versus the Columbus Chew. I will say that this is the fan lock of the week, and a lot of our analysts are locking this game in favor of the Chim Chargers. Just for me, like, we've seen the Chew be vulnerable to electric types so far in this season, and the Chim Chargers do have Tapu Koko, which I think at this point is indisputably the best electric type in the format. There's other Pokemon on MV's team like Pinsir that are extremely threatening. Pinsir like legitimately 6-0s. And then you look at some of the threats on the Chew side, like Manaphy. Manaphy's got a little bit of 4 move slot syndrome this week, and it can be revenged. Like, even if it's running like a Z-Rain set, it can be revenged by a Raichu that's in the electric terrain. So I think that it's fair to give the edge to the Chim Chargers here. What do you think? Yeah,
I have to agree with you, CJ. I think MV's done a great job this season with the positioning of his team. I think for the Chew to be successful in this match, they're going to have to find a way to neutralize Tapu Koko's and Pinsir's effectiveness in the game. And to do that, you're going to have to bring some really fat Pokemon. Mons like Calm Mind Clefable, for example, could be an option. Porygon 2, although that's not necessarily the best bring, could be something to look at. And if he brings like a very fat team to just kind of check Mons like Pinsir and the Koko, he's going to leave himself really vulnerable to his MV's other breakers, such as like Hoopa Unbound, for example. Kyurem can take advantage of Mons like the Manaphy, for example, and just overall prove to be a really big problem. But definitely look out for the breakers on MV's side to open up holes for the Koko Pinsir. I think that's kind of the game plan MV's draft takes hold of, and I can see it being effective in this week.
Yeah, that's an extremely good point. Like, it's going to be hard to deal with both sides, both the breakers and the speed demons.
Yeah.
So we shall see.
Especially when best Pokemon are outsped by Pinsir. Being the Manaphy, the Scarf and Mienshell's proven to be ineffective with Quick Attack. Same with Celebi. Scarf Celebi is not too good against Pinsir. Blaziken. All those are weak to flying, and I think MV can exploit that this week.
Let's take a look at our third match, and this is between the Melbourne Rotoms and the Borussia Donphan, and I think most of our team is going in favor of the Donphan. Rain is always going to be able to apply a lot of pressure in this scenario, but I think the combination of Kyurem Black and Tapu Fini can reasonably deal with that. But the problem that I'm like a little worried about, I'm still giving the edge to Lars here, but both Kyurem and Fini are kind of bait for Kartana. So if there's some smart doubles there, Kartana can come into play, especially if it's one of those Timid SD sets. The combination of Kartana stabs and its fighting coverage is only resisted by Delphox on Lars' team, and Delphox is not really a switch into anything. But what do you think about this matchup?
Yeah, definitely. Anytime I look at the Melbourne Rotoms, I want to look at the opposing team's water resist, being both the Kyurem Black, the Tapu Fini, very good responses to Rain, as you mentioned, but also he has some very unconventional. Oh, and the Lurantis as well. Don't want to. That's definitely a Pokemon.
Yeah, let's not disrespect Lurantis.
You have to respect the Lurantis. It's very good. Have you played the Totem Lurantis? The thing is cancerous. Oh my god.
That thing tilts me so much.
Yeah, but mons like Mega Manectric also are going to prove to be really nice against Pelipper. Hidden Power Grass, we know like Cybertron is new to the format. So a lot of times Electrics run HP Ice. I think maybe Hidden Power Grass might be more of a surprise here to catch the Swampert on the Switch, but that's something to look out for. And then Prankster Tornadus Eye could definitely show up, being a method of changing the weather, offering the sun, which would, give everything like a pseudo water resist, especially if you can take out Pelipper and maybe open up the door for maybe an unsuspecting sweeper. I think beating Rain, you have to focus on either Trick Room or other methods of speed control like Tailwind, or boosting moves like Agility, Rock Polish, stuff like that. So Cobalion could definitely be something to look at in this game, although Cobalion really struggles against mons like Pelipper, Swampert, so it may not be the best Agility or Rock Polish sweeper in this matchup. But I do think Lars' experience and Kyurem Black and Fini's water resist will be enough to prove some problems, especially because Kyurem's really fat, and that bodes very well for Lars.
Let's go into our fourth match here. This is going to be between the Bronze Bearticks, coached by Joey Pokeaim MD, and the Kansas City Giraffe Chiefs, coached by Token Minorities Jolt. Greg, why don't you kick things off on this matchup?
I think Joey really has a lot to show for this matchup. I think he's not had the most consistent results as far as his wins and losses are concerned. You know, a lot of people can argue last week he was in a very strong position to win, and I would agree with that, being that he also was in a strong position to lose in week 1. So hopefully we can get a very decisive victory this week. But I'm really gonna have to go with Jolt in this matchup. One of the reasons why is Mega Venusaur bodes to be a very big problem for Joey. Mega Gyarados is essentially hard countered by Mega Venusaur. I know some tech that can get around that, but let's see if Joey can figure it out himself. Mons like Zygarde, for example, but kind of checked by Mega Venusaur, although Zygarde can potentially weaken it for the Mega Gyarados, but not being a Z Zygarde could prove to be troublesome for Joey. Other mons like, you know, Whimsicott and Stakataka, they're not too good in this matchup. I think Joey's really going to have to rely on Necrozma. I think Necrozma's going to have a great matchup in this game if he wants to have any chance of breaking through Jolt's team, maybe to open up the door for something else. Although I don't like Joey's speed tiers against Jolt. I think Jolt's are much better, even though he did lose the Latios. Latios had a great matchup, by the way. Just saying, but Hydreigon's not doing too bad. It still outspeeds a Zygarde. If he wants to Scarf it, it can. It can check +1 variants. Taunt is essential to knock things out, and Whimsicott is no Hydreigon answer. Life Orb Dark Pulse does like nearly 50, if I can remember that calc off the top of my head. So I'm going to give the edge to Jolt.
Yeah, so I agree with your comments about Mega Venusaur being pretty tough for Joey to break. I think he's going to need to break Necrozma because that's really his only way of dealing with it. Like, good Psychic types and good Flying types need to be brought versus Venusaur, otherwise that thing is very unkillable. I'm giving the edge to Jolt as well, just because he's sort of shown more this season. Zygarde can be a problem. Jolt's going to have to be very careful to not let that get out of hand. I'm interested to see, like, I feel like the best response on Jolt's team to that is Fur Coat Persian. Otherwise, he doesn't really have 1,000 arrows resist. Like, Breloom doesn't count. And so he needs to be very careful with Venusaur because it's incredibly pressured. If it gets taken out, then things could snowball. So I'm going to be watching this one very carefully, but it is in favor of Jolt, in my opinion. So let's go to the next game. This is going to be a pretty good rivalry game, if I do say so myself. We've got the Florida Gators going up against the Philadelphia Scizors. Two buds duking it out. And Greg, you got to tell me what you think here. Is this time for Trick Room Camel? Is Trick Room Camel coming to this game? You know, a guy can dream, right? That would be pretty great.
Yeah, it would definitely be great. I think Camerupt has a reasonably nice matchup, but also a very difficult one. I think when you look at the Mega Camerupt matchup in this game, one thing that Gator does have going for him is he does have really nice immunities, being the Heatran as well as mons like Buzzwole. So if I know I say Buzzwole's very shaky, but if he can get those Pokemon in on Camerupt, that'll be really nice. Mega Altaria does a great job of checking it, and I think this is the one week where Chimp's weird speed tiers are going to work, only because Gators are just so clustered together. I don't like it, and also Cloyster has a great matchup as well. I think if Gator's gonna have a chance to win this game, it's gonna have to be by checking Cloyster, having good answers to that, so keeping Klefki really healthy, along with just, you know, mons like Mega Altaria sweeping and setting up that way. I think Mega Altaria is his best bet of winning this game. So we'll see what Gator can do.
Yeah, a DD Reset could be potentially very dangerous if Chimp doesn't play it correctly. But if there's anything we know about Chimp is that he rarely makes mistakes when he battles. And so if you look at the pick'em here, I think most people are favoring Chimp over Gator. Nothing against Gator, but Chimp has always been you know, a very high tier battler, as what we've seen. So
I agree.
All right, let's now look at the Milwaukee Bewares versus the Montreal Habsols. And Greg, these are two extremely bulky teams. I have a feeling that this might be a very long battle.
I definitely could see that.
Yeah, for me, the two things that stand out, for Aster's side, I think Scolipede can be very potent here. Like an SD set with Stabs plus Earthquake can be very good if Conk and Jellicent get sufficiently weakened. But on the Beware side, I think Trick Room is really potent here. If he gets a good opportunity to set up, Aster might have to dance around for a few turns, figuring out how to deal with that, and it's going to be very difficult for him.
Yeah, definitely, especially when one of those Trick Room answers or users are the Reuniclus. Round 1, my beautiful round 1 Reuniclus. Hey, I love it. Don't laugh at that.
No, definitely. It's
But
a great mon.
Reuniclus doubles as a really nice Lopunny response. It can set up on Zapdos, Calm Mind variants, force Zapdos to run Roar. Toxic doesn't really phase it. It's kind of vulnerable to Scolipede, but like we mentioned, Trick Room just kind of answers that altogether. So I could definitely see the merit in that, along with Trick Room Mons and Jellicent. Wolf does play VGC a lot. And, oh my god, a lot. I say that so casually. So he's very familiar with sets like Trick Room Jellicent, Bronzong as well. So I could definitely see a hardcore Trick Room mode that could definitely work in this matchup.
Yeah, I'm giving the edge to Aster. What do you think? Are you going with Aster or Wolfie?
I can't vote Aster after these past 2 weeks. I'm going with Wolfie.
Yeah, that's fair. I did say Aster needs to show me more.
Yeah,
in the last week's video.
I'm sorry, dude. I love you, but Wolfie is also my lock of the week. I have to go. I have to go with Wolf, man. Gotta.
Yeah. Well, it should be an interesting match for sure. Hopefully, it doesn't go to timer. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just hard to watch a whole bunch of videos when you have to analyze them all.
100%. Speaking of videos, let's move on to the San Jose Sharpedos, coached by Tom and John and the New Orleans Pelicans. Oh my lord. Pelipers. Let's talk about this matchup. This is going to be a fun matchup between two GBA veterans in the format. John and Tom are going at it. One thing that I do like specifically on John's side is the Piloswine does a really nice job of answering mons like Alomomola. Oh, did I say that correctly? Alomomola, Freeze Dry, that's potentially a thing. Don't set on the Palisade. Being able to get up Stealth Rock, beat down the Rotom, force that in repeatedly. And I think that can wear stuff down for mons like Tornadus T, which have a pretty good matchup against Tom. I think if he wants to have any method of winning, it's going to be through Torn T. But Tom does have Swellow, which is a superior bird, or cheaper one,
yeah.
Some might say. And I don't like John's Flying Resist at all. What do you see them? Do you want to tell me what his Swellow check is?
Jolteon doesn't really count, does it?
That's not a Pokemon. Jolteon's not good. If you think Jolteon's good, put hashtag oh gosh in the comments so I can figure out why. I don't see any merit in that.
I guess you could say the Diancie as well, but it's so tough when your opponent has a Scizor. Like, Diancie just is sort of completely invalidated. Like, you can't bring a setup set. You know, it's just so pressured, and the fact that it's regular Scizor means it can run Aqua Berry, which means that Diancie is even less reliable. Versus
not only that, there's stuff like the Roserade, which John has to be kind of concerned about. It beats his Rapid Spinner in Serena, so if he wants to lay up, like, for example, Toxic Spikes, that could definitely be something to note. Tentacruel gets worn down relatively easily. I know he has multiple methods of hazard removal, but a lot of them do not appreciate switching into Roserade, so that could definitely be really helpful for Tom if he brings that. And overall, I think the Diancie kind of has to come, like, John's Mega Houndoom responses don't exist. Hariyama, kind of, like, Thick Fat with Assault Vest, potentially. So maybe
that's literally what I have in my notes.
But those mons just lose to Swallow, so what are you going to do?
Yeah, definitely. Last comment from my end. I think, like, so the Volt Turn that Tom has is obviously very dangerous. I wonder if John's gonna bring, like, a sort of a classic Helmet Chomp to help punish that, just because you can get all that extra damage off on the U-turns and it prevents the Volt Switch from Rotom. That would be a good set, I think, for him to bring to try and improve his game here.
Oh, that's true, but Garchomp does not like switching into Rotom, and Boom Burst still hurts.
Yeah, it's true.
It's tough, but I think John's gonna have to pull out some nice ones. No more Curse Houndoom. That's not gonna win this game.
Yeah, last week he was a little bit off his game. I'm banking on him bouncing back into catching a W from Tom here.
All right, I'm gonna side with Tom on this one. So we'll see next week.
Fingers crossed. All right, let's go into our final game. This is going to be between Necrostevo's Victorian Shadows and Monatui's Tampa Bay Luxrays. There's a lot of offensive threats on the Luxray side, obviously. You're always going to be looking at mons like Zard, Keldeo, Weavile. And I think, the Shadows have decent checks to all of them, but it's just going to be, I think they're going to be overwhelmed trying to deal with all of the things. Like, you've got Delmice to switch into the Keldeo, but then obviously it's punished by Zard and Weavile. And there's just lots of instances like that. And even though the sand from the Shadow side can be very scary, I just don't think it's going to end up being enough, and I'm going to go with Mono here.
Yeah, definitely. I really like Mono, and Mono has proven to be the more reliable pick this season. I know we're only 3 weeks in, but very dominant performances, especially in week 1. I know he lost, but alas. I do think that one thing that the Shadows can do to further support themselves are by bringing the Lycanroc. I think Lycanroc has a really nice matchup against Mono. If you notice, Gliscor is not a rock switch in, and Palisand dies to Crunch, which also hits Slowking, and that's really nice. It also checks Weavile relatively well with the Celorock, so I could definitely see Lycanroc having a really nice matchup in this game, assuming that's not Scarf Keldeo, but I think Keldeo is most effective in a non-choice role this week, only because of the amount of moves it needs to use in order to effectively hit the Shadows, like effectively. It needs Icy Wind for mons like Exeggutor, it needs Secret Sword to hit the Tyranitar, well, I mean, water type moves, yeah, but the Togekiss is an answer, like Delmise, so like there's so many options. Like I think Keldeo can't be Scarf this week, which really opens up doors for mons like Lycanroc if the Shadows want to get a win this week.
Yeah. SD Aquajet Keldeo to deal with the Zam. Anybody?
Oh gosh.
Anyone? No? Okay.
No,
oh well, it was worth asking for. I know MV would have come through with that set again, but it's okay.
We'll see. If he brings Silverwind Mega Pinsir, I'll give him but it can't be just it can't be just in the team builder. It has to be in the game. I have to see it in the game.
Yeah, like that time he brought the Choice Banded Togekiss and then it didn't hit the field. I don't know if I believe that was a true thing.
I don't believe it either, but
yeah,
we'll see. Show me the Silverwind Pinsir in game, and then we'll talk.
Right, exactly. Well, folks, that's gonna wrap things up for us on the Pick'em crew here. If you guys are interested in participating, make sure you join the Discord and you can vote each week on who your picks of the week are. And while you're poking around in the description, make sure you sub to all of our fantastic coaches, and make sure you sub to the GBA channel so you can stay up to date on all the latest and greatest analyst content. So thanks for watching. Greg, you got any closing words?
Oh gosh.
Oh gosh, hashtag oh gosh in the comments down below for SD Keldeo and Silverwind Pinsir. Yeah, leave us your picks in the comments, and I look forward to reading them. We'll catch you guys the next time. Peace out. All right, peace.